I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're exploring a terrific book. It is called Desert Wealth by H.B. Waldegrave, brought to us by his son, Kevin. We're going to dive into the rich history of Mount Isa, a mountain town with decades of growth, tragedy, and triumph. The story captures the essence of a community's struggle and resilience, shedding light on the untold narratives of its peoples. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Kevin, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to see you too, Logan.
This must be wonderful to be able to share your father's work with the public, right?
Yeah, well, I just didn't want the story lost to history because it was never published. So it was my dedication to my father's memory, basically, that I got it out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell us how your father came to be so closely ingrained with the lives of the people of Mount Isa.
Well, when he went to Mount Isa after the war, he was given a job as an engineer in the power station. And so he had a lot of intricate workings with the people of the town. And yeah, they just seemed to treat him as one of them. And that's how he interviewed him, basically, just like a friend.
Gotcha, gotcha. And tell the folks the story of the book. What is the book about?
Well, it starts about the early pioneers that first went out in that area of Queensland, and basically how they started off in the cattle business, and then ended up when they found certain ores, they ended up starting to mine, and those same pioneers ended up taking claims and just progressing the whole area.
Hmm. Tell us a little bit about the book. Is this something you discovered after your father's passing, or is it something you knew he had written? Tell us a little bit about that.
I did know that he'd written something. My mum eventually gave me the manuscript, and when I started reading it, I thought, well, I know Dad did try to get it published, but didn't have any luck. And I said, well, I'm going to try and get it done.
Yeah, and you
And
did.
yeah, it's not the only book he's written, but yeah.
How many other books has he written?
Well, he's written up another one of that area called You Got to Be Joking.
Mhm.
It's just a different aspect of what went on there. And there was also another one called Human Destiny.
Mm.
And it's more fictional than it is non-fictional,
Mhm.
but it does have cross-reference some of the things that happened in the other two books. And he's also done, well, I did for him as a book on his poetry and my mum's and myself's short stories.
Mm.
And I've
Wonderful.
had that published too.
Great. Well, it must be wonderful to have your father's words still with you to this day and now published for the masses to enjoy. It keeps his legacy alive. It keeps his memory alive, right?
Yeah, it's not just his memory and his legacy, it's also the memory of early Mount Isa as
Yeah,
it became into a city basically now.
exactly. Exactly. Was the Mount Isa area your home your whole life?
No, it wasn't my home.
It
I've lived
wasn't.
in Queensland a majority of my life. I was born in New Zealand because Dad went back to New Zealand when he married my mum.
Hmm.
And basically, I've been in Australia since I was 3 years old. And most of the time I spent in Queensland, but I did spend 10 years in the Northern Territory working for a telecommunications company.
Gotcha. When you were reading your dad's book, was there a story that you discovered from the early days of Mount Isa that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I think it was the connection that he made sort of with those people because he did a lot of other things when he was with those people. And I think it sort of came down to him thinking, well, I've got to get it out there because there's nothing written about the area at all, or about what was found or what anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. I guess it's an area that a lot of people don't know that much about, particularly the early years.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Even to today, I've had people I've only just met that read the book, and they said, we never knew that sort of stuff went on out there, you know?
Right.
And I said, well, it's the same anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You find something that's worth something to the general public or even the nation, and they went ahead with it.
Yeah.
And it's become basically a city in its own right.
Yeah. When you say the folks at home or the folks you know say, I had no idea that went on up there, what kind of things went on that they're surprised about?
Oh, they didn't realize that so much had actually been discovered there, not just originally the lead and tin and copper, but also uranium. And there was also other areas like the Camel Wheel Caves, which, if you're walking there, you don't see the caves because they're actually in the ground, not in the mountainside. And yeah, there's lots of things that went on out there that nobody really knows about unless they've actually lived out there.
Yeah. What do you hope readers take away from the book? Are there any lessons or any morals you hope they take from it?
Well, yeah, it's basically the lessons I sort of picked up through the book was you can never judge a book by its cover.
Mhm.
You never know what people have gone through or what they've been doing just by looking at them. You've got to talk to them. And that's the biggest thing, I think, is communications
Yeah,
between all the different people and all the different nationalities and, that were out there.
exactly. And your dad was lucky he was able to connect with these people. People enjoyed speaking with him, and he was able to get their stories and document it for future generations as well.
Yeah, it took him 10 years he was out there to get to research everything and get as close to the truth as he could, because so much time had lapsed since the first people moved out there that if he hadn't written it down, it would have been lost.
Yeah.
I've even had certain people that were born and bred in Mount Isa ring me, and they will email me and contact me about the book and saying, it's great to see something that tells them what happened in those early days.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The name of the book is Desert Wealth. Why is it called Desert Wealth?
Well, when you think about it, out that way, even though you see greenery, there's not very much sustainable bloody things going on there.
Mm.
And it's basically a desert, even though it does have certain shrubs. But yeah, and because of how much has come out of there,
Mm.
that's where the wealth part of it is.
Yeah.
It's they're still mining out there as we speak today. They're still mining out there, so it's the wealth is ongoing. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Your dad spent 10 years developing this book. He must have loved writing. Did you view him as a writer?
No, well, he was originally a fitter and turner boilermaker and became an engine driver during the war on ships in the Merchant Navy. When I think about what he went through during those stages, it makes me realise why he went to Mount Isa
Mm.
after the war, because it's as furthest away you could get from the ocean at the time,
Yeah.
and because he'd been torpedoed twice when he was
Wow.
out in the Merchant Navy, and I think
Amazing.
he just didn't want to do a lot of swimming anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Well, the name of the book we've been talking about today is Desert Wealth. It is written by H.B. Waldegrave, and it is brought to us by his son, Kevin Waldegrave. It is the rich history of Mount Isa, a mining town with decades of growth, tragedy, and triumph. And it is a terrific story that captures the essence of a community's struggles and resilience as well. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan, for having me.
I appreciate your time, sir. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.